Hey, hello, and welcome. This is Catherine Perry. I am your host of the Daily One Command. And I have to say that, every time I get with you, I always think, oh, this one's my favorite. This is my favorite thing to talk about. This is the favorite moment that I want to share with you. But this is something that what we're going to talk about today, like other topics, it's one of those words that we hear a lot. We think about it, kind of gets bandied about. But what do we really know? What can we really learn when we think about this word in a new way? And let's get right into it. And that word is delight. And so today's commands are about creating and experiencing delight. Is that adorable? Just uh, this has got to be one of my favorite pictures, but I think it encapsulates that moment. And first, we might look at it and go, oh, isn't that cute? Like we might look at anything beauty or something that's interesting. Ah, look at that. And there's this awareness, you're alert, and your senses are engaged. And those are some of the hallmarks, some of the keys to being in a state of delight. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. And here's the lens that we're going to look at it through. Wisdom consists in doing the next thing you have to do, doing it with your whole heart, and finding delight in doing it. And why does this matter? Why would we talk about delight? This is, oh yeah, here's some feel good, new agey stuff. I knew she'd be bringing that out anytime we just feel good and everything will be good. And, maybe that's true, right? Maybe that's true. But I don't know if we necessarily have to feel good, but we have to maybe find the good. Maybe we have to have a good attitude. Maybe we have to be willing to look at something through a different lens so that we aren't positioning ourselves, looking at ourselves through our small, normal way of thinking from the perspective of being a victim, someone who's struggling, someone who is under the effect of others, but rather you are the cause and you're creating a new effect. And this can be a difficult one because things in the world right now can pretty tough, right? Pretty tough. But there are still moments. And I think it's those moments that are the most life affirming, beautiful, and speak to our humanity and tell us more about who we are than the other things that we're saying. I wanted you to also consider this word itself, delight. Now, you may have heard me say in another teaching that the word desire means of the Father. So if we're saying delight, we're saying of the light. And I don't know if you got to listen to the talk on decision where I showed the lighthouse shining into the night sky, sending its message out. And here are the particles of light, particles and waves of light, and the intention going out into the universe, and the light of the stars are meeting that. There's a point that those two particles and waves, regardless of the time sent, there's a moment that they meet. And they first meet in our awareness, in our consciousness. So delight, of delight. So this could be a state of being. What would it be like if your mind were lit up with possibility as you are meeting whatever challenge, as you are contemplating your next steps, as you are commanding what you want to manifest, attract, experience? What is the transformation? What if you did it from the light to the light? You're a beautiful bend of light, you know? That's how we're able to see you because of how all the light's refracting in our eye. And when we're looking at each other and we see each other, we're just bends of light. You beautiful thing, you. So, how could we apply that? And how can we think about that? And I'm just going to try briefly. I mean, my mind just was racing with so many stories, and I didn't want anything to be too heavy because in the darkest times, it was connecting to good memories, right? Of those happy times and all of that and looking forward to happy times. But I was what kept coming up was the time, and this would be back in way back in the olden days in the 1900s in 94. Earlier that year, I was having breakfast with my daughter and I said, we have a big move coming. We need to start clearing things out. Now, I had already been actively working on paying off debt. I was at one point working 3 jobs and my body was starting to act up, and I was listening to a lot of mindset stuff. And I was just immersed and fascinated. I was immersed in the teachings. I couldn't get enough. And so something was already feeding my potential. And for over the next few months, started just actively clearing out the house and getting rid of things that we didn't want because I knew there was a big move. And sure enough, the big move came in a way that was completely unexpected. Yet, when I got to thinking about this whole situation, I realized every time that there was a challenge, the solution came. And the whole time, it felt almost like a magical time, even though there were so many personal challenges, financial, there were some struggles there. But I remember too that there was this heightened awareness of my experience and my environment. And I was starting to see beauty and lovely moments. And there was ways I was just experiencing things, even out on my walk. Like I'm watching my dog walk ahead of me as I'm walking through the neighborhoods, and the light is, shining on her, and the lights dappling through the neighborhood, right? And the flowers, and I'm hearing the birds sing, and everything just seemed to be more awakened. And what wound up happening was, very briefly, was my mom had moved to Washington State, and I went to visit her to go pick up my daughter who had gone up there with her to help her move and set up her new office. And we did a tour of the state, and we saw Seattle. And my daughter and I both said, if we ever live here, it'll be in Seattle. It just was glorious. If you've ever been to Texas and see how flat and brown and uninspired it can look, it looked like a magical land to us. And so that desire was lit up, and we thought, wow, that is so cool. If we move, and remember, I'd already had that feeling, and my daughter was like, yeah, mom, whatever. And I go, no, there's a big move coming. And something lit up, and I was like, yeah, I don't know how in the world that could ever happen. That's a nice dream, because I was struggling. I got back from my job. I got back from vacation, and I was fired off my job. And the same day, my brother-in-law totaled my car. And the boss, who was very nicely letting me go from a job I was completely not qualified for, said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm moving to Seattle. And he said, well, that's cool. Because it was like that just popped up out of my mouth. And a month later, we're starting to move. And we're packing up. But the moment that I remember is not all of that other stuff. It was the night of the pack up. And my two stepbrothers, and who at the time, I didn't even think of them as stepbrothers. they were my mom's husband's sons, my stepdad's sons. I mean, we were friendly, but we weren't really close. And they agreed to help. And we started packing and getting my apartment. It was like, what in the world? I thought I had all this cleaned out. And every time, I had packed and packed, and it just felt like boxes just kept appearing. Now, if you have ever moved, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But as I got to thinking about that, it's like almost the same way it is when we are trying to make a big shift. We know where we want to go. The universe conspires to make it happen. Sometimes it goes, surprise, this is how we're doing it. And go, but surprise, I was trying to control everything. It's not happening that way, right? And this night kind of kept going on and on. They'd gotten there at noon, and it's 9 o'clock at night, and we're still packing. And at the same time, we're tired, but we were jovial. And maybe that's just the way it is in my family, but we were cracking jokes. One, I wanted to be up and be appreciative and keep a good mood for the guys. I'd worked in apartments, I'd been a boss, and I really knew how to create this, atmosphere that kept the energy going. And it was getting kind of overwhelming. And some of the jokes I still remember, and I'll still laugh. Like one of the things was my brother was like, why do you have so many TVs? And I had just kind of wound up with TVs. You work in apartments, you tend to collect them. But I had 3 or 4 TVs. And I said, those aren't just TVs. Those are cathode altars to the gods of capitalism. And someone said, he said, well, you need to embrace a new religion. And then my other brother said, no, you need to embrace balsa because it's a lot lighter than these TVs. And it just was like just these little moments. It was witty and fun. And then we still had to go pack up my sister's house, which we didn't know, and go pick up some things. So it was like 1 or 2 in the morning before we got done. And then we get on the road and things happen, and we had the whole journey, and it was kind of amazing. But years later, my brothers and I were reminiscing, and they were talking about, they go, you know what? That was the most fun we had ever had. And we didn't really know you that well, but we kind of fell in love with you that night. I was like, really? Like, oh, you're just amazing. Your attitude, and you're working hard, but you kept everything up. You were just a delight. And I went, a delight? Wow. And that kind of stuck with me, not because of my character, but because the light in them met the light in me. And that energy and keeping it light and keeping things moving. And I had this bigger vision, and there was a lot to do. And yet somehow, when I started thinking about it through this lens of delight, just even the memory of thinking about this last night, knowing I wanted to talk to you, different memories, different perspectives started lighting up in my own mind about this. And this is why we talk about lenses. So first we're going, what is the angle we're going to approach this with? And then we expand our consciousness. We raise our vibration through the 6 steps of the One Command, and we are connecting to our higher state of consciousness, right? Well, we are meeting it from our ordinary way of thinking, but even this deeper state of being, and the light in us is greeting the light, the greater light. And so when we are seeking understanding and the wisdom, this is the way I want to look at this. This is an understanding I want to have. We're connecting not only into our own understanding and the greater understanding, and everyone who's ever experienced whatever situation you're in, or came up with a solution that you're seeking through all time and eternity and different levels of consciousness and parallel universes and everything else. All that stuff is happening. You're also connecting into the wisdom of the one who said the thing, right? This quote. And it's almost like the ultimate download. It's the ultimate way to get that direct download from wisdom. So when you're making these quotes from Einstein or Martin Luther King, when you're quoting those moments, you're activating something within you. Just as when you're activating and deactivating and you're turning things on and off within you, when you keep quoting bitter, limiting thoughts, when you start quoting bad news, same thing. So, what is the lens that you want to look at this through? And then we go, what is the understanding? And the best way I can kind of think of it in my own mind's eye is when I go to the optometrist and they're dropping all these lenses. Is this better? On, off, on, better, not better, right? Which eye? This one or this one? This one or this one? And there's this sort going on, but all these lenses are dropping, right? And until you get that perfect clarity. And so when I'm looking at things through a particular lens and I want to get understanding this way, it's shifting out of my ordinary way of thinking and it's bringing me in new filters so that I can experience a different level of consciousness. Are you with me? Does that make sense? Good morning, everybody. And so, how can the light in you be enlightened and get the wisdom from whatever situation that you are facing? Because that is really the secret in getting through any of it. Because we might go through something where we don't like it, it's uncomfortable, it's straight up painful. But Chris Prentice talks about this in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And the question is, I wonder what good will come from this. I wonder what good will come from this, no matter what he meets. And so that takes the mind off, is not directed towards being a victim, the struggle, what's not working. It moves you through whatever you're experiencing, open for the next understanding, and keeps you moving for the next step. It gives you that dopamine shot that you need. And if you ever get stuck and you're going, where's the inspiration? I have no energy. That's why you've got to actually move. They recommend that you kind of move your spine and stretch and get your body moving so that you can get that energy, so that dopamine can go from your brain down into your body, right? You can get enough good feeling. And as you're taking steps, we're not focused on the reward. We're feeling good about each small accomplishment. And no matter what we're experiencing, we know that this is a necessary thing to go through, and we will get through it, and we find the wisdom. And so we want to look for those moments. And I have to say, I don't know if I was this way before, but I know I am this way now after that year. And it was this greater appreciation of beauty of the moments, at the risk of sounding like some kind of Instagram, fashion influencer, like, oh, here's a moment. We put on our hat. There's a moment there. No, that's not what I'm talking about, something that we're putting on. But it's a moment of awareness, appreciation, and engagement. And where the light in you, the good in you, the God in you is meeting the light, the good, and the God in whatever you're observing. There's no separation. I was sitting on my daughter's back porch, and where we are right now, it's not a particular pretty part of the town. This house was selected for price and proximity. And it's, an older part of a small town. And we're surrounded by fields, and there's kind of pretty little rolling areas, and every once in a while, the light hits just right. And I don't know, I was talking to my daughter, and I looked out, and it was an angle I'd never been at before, and I looked kind of at the neighbor's backyard, but there was this perfect frame between the house and their garage and the carport and the pickup truck. And it was just this beautiful frame. And the landscape just beyond that looked exactly like a piece of art. The way the sun was shining, the greenery, just the bends, the gentle rolling, the little patch of blue. And I'm sitting in a very ordinary, not pretty, not particularly inspiring spot. And my breath was taken away by the beauty of that moment. And it lit something up. And I was tired. And suddenly I was like, I had like this extra ability to like talk. I was talking to my daughter. It was kind of pleasant, but then suddenly there was this different engagement, and we started kind of having a good time. And then there was just flow, and we went into dinner, and dinner was wonderful. And I came home and I was able to get some stuff done. And I thought, what a beautiful evening. And it was because I met beauty in a moment. I was aware. I was engaged. And I felt that light in me. I want you to know that I see that in you. We may not have met, but I'm telling you, right now, within you, there is a light. And you are delightful. And I absolutely know that you're going to be experiencing delight in whole new ways. And all you got to do is be curious and open to, I wonder how I can experience delight and the wisdom that comes from it. So I don't know if you notice this, but this is really a lot of times how we're forming our one command statements. So I'm going to go over the quote again and think about what lights up for you. Wisdom consists in doing the next thing you have to do, doing it with your whole heart, and finding delight in doing it. There's knowledge, but what understanding comes from wisdom, right? And I want to connect in to wisdom. Solomon, the story in the Bible goes that God came to Solomon as he was about to be a king and said, "What do you want? What gifts can I give you so that you can lead these people? Do you want an army, riches? What do you want?" And Solomon said, "God grant me wisdom that I may lead your people." And because he asked for wisdom, God gave him everything. Solomon, who was the richest king, recorded at the time, the wisest of all, because he sought wisdom. So I invite you today is to seek wisdom, and the way that you know that you are closer to it, you're in relationship with it, it's a consciousness. The way that you're meeting that wisdom in you is through delight. Let's command. We're just going to start with, I don't know how, I have a new understanding of delight within myself. I only know I am living, moving, and breathing in a state of perpetual delight now, and I am fulfilled. And I'm going to stick with that one. And if you've got your own personal thing, and we're going to create some space, because right now we're talking about wisdom, right? But you've also got a very practical, earthbound situation that you want to get a resolution on. You've got something that an experience that you want to command. You want to have a greater sense of your ability to accomplish or create whatever you desire. And think about it. Think about what you're actively working on in your life. More money, more freedom, opportunities, better relationships, your health. And we're going to give some space to that through this lens of wisdom. So let's ground. Close your eyes. Just feel your connection to the earth's connection to you. Be present. Be aware. Be engaged right now with your own body. As you bring your attention to your heart and you align to your purpose, you have whatever it is that you're wanting to create, experience, resolve in your life. And as you focus on your heart, I want you to picture, visualize, or imagine the love in your heart lighting up. There goes that light word again. And just allow that space within you to be filled with this light as you're aligning to your purpose. Just allow that light to expand all the way through you. Now let it expand out into your aura, which is about 3 to, in between 18 inches and 4 feet all around you. Yeah, just be in that bubble of light. Let that light heal and repair your aura. Remember to breathe. And now, just allow that light to continue to expand. Let light seek light. You may have a pet, a loved one in your house, but just heart to heart, light to light. And as you focus on this light that is ever expanding, you'll see that it has no end. And it's expanding out through your neighborhood, your city, your state. And yeah, even the grumpiest, meanest person will have a little teeny bit of light with them because there's something they love and care for. And so just let the light find the light. The light does not judge. Let it expand out through your country, through the hemisphere, around the earth. Expanding out through the solar system. We don't know what levels of intelligence exist at what frequency. We don't know. We only know that light seeks light, and let it go through all the parallel universes too, all the aspects of you, past, present, and future, and all your potential. We're going to stay in this space, stay internal. And right now, I want to invite you to become aware of this other light, this greater light, your connection to Source. Let your eyes relax. Lift your chin ever so slightly. And don't push your eyes up, but roll them up slightly. Like you're just very softly looking up the top of your forehead. There we go. And soon you're breaking through into a whole new level of light in the planes of existence. Here's our command. You can follow silently along. I don't know how I have a whole new understanding and awareness and experience of delight. I only know that I am living, moving, and breathing in a state of delight. And I am having a greater wisdom as a result. Now and I am fulfilled. I don't know how I am connecting to the greatest wisdom, a higher wisdom. I only know that this greater intelligence that is wise, knowing, understanding, compassionate, is now part of my default operating system. And it operates freely through me now. And I am delighted. And just let that go. Let that expand out. Now, there's something in particular that you are wanting, needing, or desiring. And I actually invite you to tune into what you truly desire, because wants and needs come and go. But what is your true desire now? I don't know how I can state your desire. I only know I have the wisdom to create it now, to know it now, to make it so now. And I am delighted in how it unfolds. Let all that go. Let that expand out to an idea even greater that serves more good. And what's happening is we are creating a greater space in consciousness for your creation, to give you the space to create. There we go. Ooh. And now, just allow yourself to come back down into your body and just start receiving in gratitude this wisdom, this new understanding, this greater capacity to experience and create delight in your life, not only for yourself, but for others. And as this new state of being arrives, just let all those old worries, that old limiting thinking and the family programming and all those old ways you conditioned yourself, all those words you said to yourself, all those old thoughts that no longer align, let it unwind, unwind, unwind. Let it go, go, go. Remember to breathe. Keep your eyes closed. There's a lot going on. And now we're just going to allow these new ideas start to arrive, rewind, and integrate. And this is happening at a DNA and neurological level. It's coming all the way down right into every cell and fiber of your being. You're getting a direct download from source, mind, your own greater intelligence about what is delight, how to experience it, how to allow it to be a lens for your understanding, how to start to be aware and allow that greater wisdom to be a force in your life. And now, before we come back, and normally I would have you think about what do you know about delight, but think about your situation that you're actively working on is not quite the right word, but we'll just say it's in your, it's what your area of focus is right now. There's something you're looking to heal and resolve. If there's a solution, if you're holding in consciousness money, opportunities, greater experience, a greater version of you showing up. This lens of delight and the wisdom that comes from it, what do you know now that you didn't know before? And give it some time for you to just be aware of it. Of course, we always say keep a journal, make your notes. When you're ready, start opening your eyes. And then we always say that inspired step, that seventh step is inspired action. Be ready for that idea, the inspiration, or opportunity. And a lot of times, it may not look like an opportunity, but whatever's showing up is exactly what's necessary for the next step. And you can meet that in confidence. I absolutely know that you can. I'm your witness and I support you. And it is my delight to be spending this time with you. And so, my darling, until the next time, this is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I witness your mastery. Bye bye.